In this week's episode of the Stockscores Market Minutes, I'm going to talk about what is wrong with this stock market. It certainly isn't as strong as it was just a year ago. I will explain why and how to deal with it. Plus, do my regular weekly market analysis on the stock markets, currency markets, commodity markets. We will look at the day trade of the week on HOOK, and we'll run a market scan for you longer term traders looking for those position trades. That's all coming up. So what's wrong with the stock market? Well, to answer that question, you need to understand the two forces that are really important in determining where stock prices go and the risk factors that contribute to a stock's price movement. So we call this alpha and beta. The beta factor is every stock has some correlation to the overall market, and it's that overall market force that we call the beta. And so if the S&P 500 is in an upward trend, then we expect that most stocks will go upward with the trend. That's the beta factor. The alpha factor is that part of a stock's performance that is unique to the company. So you could have, Microsoft going in an upward trend with the market, but if they announce good earnings, the stock could make a dramatically better return than the market because it has something unique to the company, its earnings. By another example, an oil and gas stock could be doing well because the price of oil goes up, but if one of those oil and gas companies discovers a new deposit of oil, then their stock's going to really outperform. And that's the alpha factor. All right, so the beta factor coming out of the COVID crash was very strong. We had a great upward trend from March of 2020, April of 2020, and that lasted until February, March of 2021. And I'll show you on a chart, and then the market started to go sideways. And so the beta factor stopped helping. In the same period, you had lots of alpha stocks, lots of stocks that were trading on investor excitement, that were trading uniquely on their own performance. And there were more of them in the beta factor, or in the strong upward market, not only because the beta factor was good, but what that beta factor does is it creates optimism. So people believe stories, they chase after stories. So you've got the situation where the beta factor was strong, the market was trending higher. And then you also had this factor where, because of that optimism, because investors had that fear of missing out, they were chasing after these hot biotech stocks or the meme stocks, the stocks that were promoted on Reddit, that sort of thing. Well, we don't have that hot beta factor anymore. And so now we have fewer alpha stocks as well. Most stocks are not going up. In fact, many are in downward trends. And there is each day only 3 to 5 really strong alpha stocks. And those are the ones that we have to focus on trading. And let me show you a few charts to try to outline this. So the first chart I want to show you is the S&P 500. And I just want to drive home the point about alpha and beta. So the market collapsed there with the COVID crash, and almost everything went sharply lower. And then we've been in this very strong upward trend up until about 6 weeks ago on those large cap S&P 500 stocks. And aside from a little, pause there in the fall of 2020 and a little pause there again in the fall of 2021, it's been a generally upward trending market. But the last 4 months have been more or less sideways. In the last 6 weeks, we've been moving lower. And so the beta factor has been really quite negative for the overall market since this year started. Now, if you look at the IWM, which represents the retail, the small cap stocks, which is what retail traders tend to focus on because they're lower priced, they don't take as much capital to play. You can see that again, coming out of the COVID crash, we had this great rally. But then in about March of 2021, the excitement around those low-priced small cap stocks was kind of lost. And we saw the index just go sideways for most of 2021. And that's why the action really dried up in those lower priced stocks. For those of you that have been trading through this since the COVID crash, you will know that there was lots and lots of action in March of 2020 onward. And it was just easy. It was like shooting fish in a barrel trading because you didn't have to know what you were doing. You know, there's that saying, rising tides lift all boats. The market was rising. There was a lot of excitement. And so trades just worked because the market generally pulled them higher. We don't have that anymore. And so what we have to do is take a different approach to trading. There's two ways to do that. One, we can look for the hot sectors in the market where the beta factor is strong. So for example, here's the energy sector. This is the TSX Energy Index, ETF. And you can see that even though the S&P 500 has stopped its upward trend, and even though the IWM has been going sideways for about a year, the energy sector has been moving higher. And so the beta factor in the energy sector has been strong, and it remains strong. Now, I think the energy sector is quite risky, but if you're a short-term oriented trader and you use good risk management, you can still trade that sector because it is hot, right? Now, the other thing you can do is focus on alpha stocks. So these are characterized by abnormal volume. You have to take quite a short-term approach to these alpha stocks, but the stock you see here on screen is one of the hottest stocks of last week. You can see that the volume on the 17th was extremely abnormal compared to the 16th. And you can see the stock made a huge move. It started the day, well, the previous day was about $10. It actually hit $105. So in a single day, it went up almost 1,000%. That's the alpha factor. It didn't matter what the overall market was doing on the 17th. In fact, the overall market wasn't really doing anything great, but this stock did something significant because it had the alpha factor. So there's your answer. How do you deal with this sort of a market? Two things. One, find the strong beta sectors. Energy is probably the leading one. Number two, look for the alpha stocks. But you have to take a pretty short-term orientation if you're going to do number two, which is focusing on the alpha stocks. Because the beta factor is lacking, those alpha stocks tend to fizzle out pretty quick. Sometimes they're just day trades. Sometimes they'll last 3 to 5 days. We've seen a few that have done that. But for the most part, it's in and out trading, focusing on the alpha. And that's what we do every day in Active Live on Stockscores. You can learn more about that at stockscores.com. At the end of this video, the last section, we're going to talk about how to find those longer term alpha stocks using the Stockscores market scan. And I'll show you that at the end of the video. All right, let's get into our normal weekly market analysis, starting off with the US markets. And there you see the S&P 500. This is the 30-day, 60-minute chart. And it's in a general downward trend. So the beta factor is really not helping us. We've broken through this little bit of support. We've got a falling top building. We had been trying to build some optimism coming into the week, and then we broke down at the end of 2 weeks ago, and we're now rolling over again. So a lot of this is dependent upon what goes on in the Ukraine. And of course, we have a long weekend. I think a lot of traders went into the weekend saying, I don't really want to hold positions for fear that Tuesday morning we could see a big gap down if Russia invades the Ukraine. If Russia doesn't invade the Ukraine over the weekend, I think the market will probably snap back a little bit next week, provided there's no, tension about, they're going to invade the Ukraine on Wednesday, right? All right, so generally you want to be cautious with the S&P 500. The market is not helping, it is hindering, and therefore focus on alpha. Longer term chart, you see the same story. The upward trend has been broken. We've talked about that. That happened 5 weeks ago. We are now falling lower from a falling top. And if we fall through this 420 zone on the SPY, we could see a much more dramatic sell-off. And so I want you to be cautious. And again, the beta factor for the large cap US stocks is not good. And until it is good, focus only on the alpha stocks. What are the alpha stocks? They're the ones trading abnormal volume, and I'll show you at the end of the video how to find them. All right, next slide here is the NASDAQ 100, and you can see that it too has broken its upward trend line. This is the daily chart. The last one was a weekly chart. And we have falling tops, which is a sign that the sellers are in control. We do have some support here, and hopefully we'll hold that. Again, a lot will depend on what happens politically between the Ukraine and Russia. IWM has been in this downward trend for a number of months. It was oversold, and it's now coming back to not oversold, coming back to the downward trend line. But the sellers are still in control, and that's why the stock scores are poor, and therefore you want to be pretty cautious in general with small cap stocks only trading the alpha stocks. All right, onto the Canadian markets, and here is the TSX 60. It looks quite a bit better than the S&P 500. The trend generally is sideways over the last month. Little bit of short-term weakness as there was some profit taking in energy this week, but of course the energy sector is still relatively strong, and hopefully that continues. On the TSX 60, again, you can see that it hasn't suffered the sort of breakdown that the S&P 500 has, and that's mostly due to the energy sector and a little bit to the gold sector. The market going sideways. There are better opportunities for stocks on the TSX in those commodity-based sectors because they're holding up well in this environment. TSX Venture, that speculative trade where people are buying those micro-cap stocks, not really that great because investor sentiment, trader psychology is still quite negative. The beta factor is hurting. People aren't confident. And the market, the TSX Venture market, which is those speculative low-price penny stocks, it just doesn't attract the money right now because there's no speculative fever. A little bit of strength in the energy sector, but you can see by the chart there, generally the sellers are in control. All right, on to currencies. US dollar is still in an upward trend. It has been a little bit volatile the last few weeks, last month or so, but still it's generally a bullish trend on the US dollar. Now on to Bitcoin. We talked a couple weeks ago about how it broke the downward trend line, which is a good sign. And now what we have to watch for is, does it build a rising bottom? And so it's been pulling back this week. That's fairly typical after a downward trend line break. It should bounce, make a rising bottom, and then hopefully break through this high as an indication that it wants to go higher. So two things to watch for. Number one, when is the pullback that it's in right now going to break? And if it does break, does it build a rising bottom and then start to break through that short-term resistance? Chart for Ethereum, very similar, broke the downward trend line, trying to build a rising bottom. On interest rates, this of course helps us to understand the whether we should be locking in debt or that sort of thing. You can see interest rates have been rising. TBT goes up with interest rates. It's actually an inverse of the bond market, and it broke the downward trend line. It's slowly rising. It's dealing with a fair bit of resistance. I don't think interest rates are going to go as crazy as some people think. The bond market has actually priced in a lot of interest rate raises already. And so, although I think interest rates can still go a little bit higher, I'm not sure that they're going to go significantly higher. I think a lot of the inflation we see in the market hopefully will start to go away if we can get rid of some of the COVID mandates and supply chain issues become less of an issue. So we'll see if that plays out. Ultimately, I don't try to be smart in the market. It's a waste of time. Just do what the market tells you to do. Right now, the indication is that interest rates will rise a little bit more, but there's a bit of a cap at this resistance line. All right, commodities. You can see gold breaking out. And again, that's largely related to the political tension in Russia and the Ukraine, as people tend to go to gold when there is the threat of war. It doesn't always last very long, but that's what's motivating that. And my concern with the gold trade is that if that tension goes away, then you may see gold kind of drop pretty quickly. So I think there's some risk there. It's a good hedge against the political tension. Just realize that if that turns off, if there's some sort of political resolution, then you could see gold come back fairly quickly. So ultimately, we do what the chart tells us to do. Right now, it is generally a somewhat neutral to slightly bullish market as we are breaking out of that pattern. Oil market, that's the one I said is one of the few sectors that is strong. It's in that bullish upward trend, that upward sloping channel. It's at the top of the channel where we expect a little bit of a pullback that would be healthy and not unexpected. So we'll see if that happens in the next few weeks. Generally speaking, though, still a bullish trend. And finally, the fear chart, and that of course, volatility has been increasing the last few months. We've seen these spikes of volatility, and that really comes down to the buyers being a little tired, inflation concerns, the threat of rising interest rates, plus political concerns. That's creating that volatility in the market, which is lucrative for a very short-term trader, but for that long-term trader can sort of give you a bit of a wild ride. All right, so let's look at my ratings then. Neutral long-term on U.S. stocks, but bullish short-term. Neutral on both time frames for the Canadian market. Gold long-term neutral, but short-term bullish. And oil remains bullish on both time frames. The buyers continue to be hesitant as that inflation and the political concerns harm most sectors, not all sectors, but most. And so while there is general negative psychology, we do see that strength in oil. Gold is starting to build optimism, so there are areas of strength, but really, I think the best way to trade this market is to focus on alpha stocks. Focus on the stocks that are not correlated to the market, that are showing that abnormal volume, or just sit in cash and wait for conditions to improve. Fear is elevated, but there's no sign of panic just yet. And of course, I'll let you know here if I see that. All right, let's move on to the day trade of the week. And it was a pretty dry week in the day trading world because the market was pulling back, and going into a long weekend, you tend to see volumes a little lower. But HOOK is one of those alpha stocks that actually was pretty strong all week long, and it perked up again on Friday. Friday. And one of the strategies that I like to do is when stocks show strength, rather than chase the strength, I'd rather wait for the pullback from a little bit of profit taking. So you see the strength, the pullback, and then the break of the pullback. And that led to a nice little run in the middle of the day on Friday on HOOK. I think a lot of traders left the market early for the long weekend, and perhaps that's why the market went sideways on this and many stocks into the close. But that's a quick little trade to make, for every $100 of risk, $600 or $700 of profit, which was a pretty good day trade on a very quiet day. All right, let's jump into the market scan now, and I'm going to show you how to find some alpha stocks. So if we jump over to the Stockscores website, I'm going to select a scan called Abnormal Breaks US or Canada. You can do either market. We'll do the US this week. And what this does is it looks for stocks trading abnormally, as that is the best clue of alpha. And what we have to look for when we look at the chart is not only some kind of a pattern break, but typically we'll see also an increase in volume. So here on this stock, for example, you can see a little bit of an increase in volume, really not like we saw back in October. There's a little bit of abnormal price action. So it has some abnormal activity to tell us that there's alpha, but I don't think it's exceptional. And so I'll just keep on moving. I'm looking for, the abnormal activity, but also a decent chart pattern. So for example, this stock has got some abnormal activity. You can see the volume bumped up a little bit on Friday, strong price action. The problem is it's not a great chart pattern because it's coming into resistance. There's all these zones of resistance where people will supply stock, and it needs a lot of volume to get through that, and I just don't see it there yet. So as you do this market scan, you want to always be quite fussy and just wait for, the great opportunities to come along. Now, here's a stock on the daily chart which looks very bizarre chart. You can see lots of volatility. And for a position trader, you really don't want to touch that. However, a day trader can take advantage of that intraday volatility by moving in and out. So here's another example of what I showed you on Hook, where we had a run up, a pullback, and then a break of the pullback for a quick pop that in just a few minutes, like 10 minutes, went from $11 to $15. And that quick day trader can sort of take some money out of that very quickly. All right, so KPTI was another hot day trader last week, as it is an alpha stock. But I don't see a whole lot that is showing longer term alpha setups where we've got the abnormal activity on the longer term time frame. Now here's one that looks pretty good. So here we see CMBM, and you can see the spike of volume, and it's breaking from a rising bottom. This is a pretty solid chart. It has an issue in that it's got to work through all of these people that own it at higher prices. And so I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10, which means I think it has a 65% chance of going up. And so we can watch that in the weeks ahead and see how it does. All right, well, that was this week's Market Minutes. Hope you've enjoyed it. And if you do, please like it, subscribe to it, tell your friends about it, and most importantly, next week, trade well.